We're back with part 6, everybody. Let's get this over with. The sixth row is gonna be one that I remember a lot more fondly because I actually have better memory when it comes to later entries. So we're gonna be starting off with yet another character that I'm absolutely adored with because I've played her game multiple times. And I've beaten it multiple times, gotten the true ending multiple times, and never once got the bad ending. Which should be a good thing, but getting the bad ending is kind of required to get to 100% the game, so no, whatever. Let's just get into the explanations. Maya Drevis. Okay, this was kind of a weird pick to most of you, I guess. But if for those of you who have been around my channel for a long time, you all probably know that I love that one indie game, Mad Father. It it's such a popular game that even got ported to the Switch at one point, and even had a remake while that was going on, I guess. Oh, or was it the remake that was ported to the Switch? I have no idea. But after doing a lot of theory crafting, at some point I decided to finally make a moveset for three characters that well, technically three movesets for three characters that I personally really liked, and they were all my personal picks. I had Drevis being the first one, and she was my number one personal pick, because making a moveset for her was actually super fun. In fact, I even had a whole thing drawn out for her moveset, and even staying in line with her character. For example, the fact that if she ever tries to run away from a certain encounter, she trips for no reason. Yeah, yeah, that tends to happen a lot in her home game for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because it's a horror game, and I've even had to use for all the items that she was able to collect during her game as well, like the scalpel, the mandrake, even Snowball appears in her moveset. For those of you who don't know, Snowball is her pet rabbit that she has in the game. I should probably say that the game's name is Mad Father, the very same Mad Father that I played on this channel specifically the remake. I don't remember if I played the original at all, but I know I played the remake as well as the Blood and If modes of that game, to which you guys should definitely go check out. It's literally going to be in the top right corner at some point in this video. I don't know when. But yeah, making a Musa for Aya was actually very, very fun because, well, I got to be very creative with how I used all the items. Of course, for the up air, she would toss up one of her favorite books, being The Red-Eyed Stranger. The down air would have her toss down a gem, which are collectibles in the game. I was thinking that her, and I was actually thinking a lot about her grabs. When it comes to, well, actually being in Smash Brothers, grabbing your opponent and throwing them is kind of one of the big things of starting combos. Aya tends not to really get into conflict. In fact, she doesn't like conflict whatsoever, and, and she tends to avoid it at all costs. So it really got me thinking: how is Aya gonna grab and throw opponents? And that's when it actually hit me. Not literally, but figuratively. I had the really amazing idea that she would actually get her help from the one and only person that she can trust. That character I had in mind being, of course, the housemaid Maria. If anything, I think Maria would make a lot of sense to be part of Aya's moveset. If she were to use any grabs, then Maria would actually be the one to grab the opponent and pummel them using the blunt end of the scalpel. Don't worry, she wouldn't actually stab people with the scalpel. This is Smash Brothers. It's a family-friendly fighting game. And of course, Maria would just throw the opponent in the corresponding direction, except for the down throw, which she trips foes. Now getting back into Aya as a character, I think it just sort of makes sense for her to be sort of cowardly, lightweight, and have the ability to crawl, since she was able to do that in her home game. At least I'm fairly certain she was. It's not like she couldn't crawl into that one hole in the original game where you can find a secret gem. But I digress. So having Aya as an actual character would actually mean a lot to me, even if it were just a me costume. So and and the fact that she comes from a horror game, I had to theme her entire moveset around that whole horror aesthetic. Again, obviously toned down for the sake of a moveset. So I just thought I heard my door open. Anyways, speaking of which, Aya would actually be a pretty lightweight fighter with rather okay mobility, but still pretty frail because, well, she is an 11-year-old girl. What more do you really expect from her? And and of course she would have 2 jumps and would be able to crawl. Though I also made it pretty comedic in a way when it comes to her moveset, because one of her moves I mentioned earlier, the whole tripping thing that happens in her game sometimes. Yeah, I just made that her dash attack, and I even made it so that she would actually slide underneath certain projectiles if she were close enough. So basically, it shifts her hurt box so that she can't really get hit by higher moves. Although if you were to do like a down tilt or any sort of low attack, then she would get hit during the dash attack. But but aside from that, I think it would just work just fine. And even the specials were really creative. I remember very well that for a neutral special, I kind of made it a well. I don't really remember. I wait, no, I do remember. I know that the neutral special was like some sort of like, I think it was like sort of distance thing or like a projectile. I don't remember if it was. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. The neutral special was a pendant, and it was going to be actually the same pendant that she has to return to the mother ghost that's lost in her own room. No, not the ghost of her mom, the ghost of somebody else's mom that happened to be a victim of her father's experiments. And if anyone touches this pendant, they will be stunned for a certain amount of time, depending on how much damage they have. And the side special I decided to label as the Flame Egg, which is based on a book that Aya finds in the library. It was basically a story about a girl who had the power to control fire, and she searched the world looking for her parents, but then ended up burning up the entire world. So I decided to make something like that, but instead, I'm thinking maybe I could do a little updated version of it this time around. Originally, I followed what the original game did. You would fill the lighter with fluid, throw the fluid forward, and then toss the lighter. But I guess since the creators didn't like the idea of an 11-year-old girl having a lighter, instead they rewrote the book so that she had to craft a torch. And this torch was made out of a scrap of a dress, a piece of firewood for kindling, and barbed wire. I think. I don't know if it's barbed wire or not, but I think it's just a specific wire, not really barbed or anything. And then you light it. So I'm thinking maybe if I were to redo that side special, she would take a few seconds to charge, and by charge I mean literally create the torch out of the wood, cloth, and wire, light the torch, and light the torch in some random fireplace that will appear in the background, and then toss it forward. So yes, I know it would be better to just have it as one sort of streamlined move, but instead of this sort of weird setup, multiple steps thing. But I prefers safety overall else. Well, I guess except for the safety of anyone in her way, I suppose. And if I were to actually imagine it like this, the way that the side special will work is kind of like Ness's PK Fire, but not as annoying. Essentially, it comes down to this: if the torch hits the ground, then it would cause a fire to spread out, damaging and launching anyone who touches it. But if anyone gets hit by the torch while it's being thrown, then it'll act similarly to PK Fire from Ness. Only for a short while. It won't trap you in there, and she can't spam it. She'll have to wait a few seconds before getting another torch ready and throwing it. The down special though, I thought was very creative, because the down special is what I think would be connected to her up special. It would give Aya the ability to save. So essentially, another sort of it's sort of a two-step teleport sort of special. So when Aya or at least I think so. I'm pretty sure that was just the up special though. When Aya activates the up special, she'll actually call upon help from her good old buddy Ogre. For those of you who don't know, Ogre was essentially a very helpful friend towards Aya. He always pretty much acted like an ally, and it was basically a way to warp back to your room at some point during the end of the game. It's a way so you can backtrack in case you missed anything. And the way that Ogre will work in Smash is that essentially, well, imagine it like this. If Aya were to be on stage when she uses the up special, she'll of course call upon Ogre. Ogre will just appear and stand in the background and can't be interacted by anybody else. And when you do activate the up special special again, let's say for example, Ogre is where I am, then when Aya does the up special again, no matter where she is, she will of course be teleported to where Ogre is currently standing. After which Ogre will simply just disappear, and then Aya will have to wait a few more seconds before summoning him again. It's kind of like that in a way, and I do like the idea of having it be some sort of thing as a reference to her game. I was initially thinking that the crow that you used to save in the old and new games would be her up special, since well, it saves you in the game, so it saves you in your recovery. But I had to remember that Madfather is sort of still kind of grounded to reality a little bit, even though it has, well, zombies and corpses loitering around the entire house. So I don't think that Crow would be able to actually lift Aya. As much as I do like the Crow being an idea, I kind of want to include a lot of major characters into her moveset in some way, shape, or form, even if only minor. And having Ogre as the up special makes a lot of sense, especially with his whole giving omnipresence that he has. So what so when I look back at the moveset, I actually do remember that her down special actually had to do something very complicated. I know it was something that was complex, but I just can't put my finger on it. I just don't know what it is. I knew that her up special was Ogre, her side special was the Flame Egg, her neutral special was the Pendant. At least I'm fairly certain it was. Wait, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure her down special was something interesting. It's just probably slipping my mind a little bit. I don't remember what it was. I don't know. Maybe I'll get back to it in editing if I remember. But anyways, as for Aya's final smash, of course she would have to use the magic water that Ogre had given her during the ending of the game, where he said that if her love reaches her mom, then she would be able to be saved, and if she used the magic water, then she can save her father. At least that's how I envisioned it. The magic water would basically just be a cutscene final smash where it would suck in at least where it can suck in at least 7 foes at a time, or well, however many were caught in the flash to begin with, as the water comes spilling out and hits the opponent very hard, dealing quite a bit of damage and then launching them away. At least that's how I imagined the final smash going. Because that would be pretty awesome. I have been requesting people to make an Aya moveset for Smash Bros. Crusade for a long while now, and still nobody has, because well, I don't really know. It's kind of a weird. I guess it was kind of a weird request if you think about it, because she is from a horror game, and it's really hard to make a moveset for a horror game character. But at the same time, it's also very easy because, well, I was able to do it. I didn't make an IM mod at all. It's nowhere to be found because I can't find one. But I did make a lot of the regular attacks. Also include some of the most memorable things that you find in the game. Oh, and of course, Snowball, her pet rabbit, is her down tilt. It would be injustice not to include him. He is technically a character that helps you in the game at the very least, so it just made sense to include him. Oh, and in case all of you are wondering, yes, I did also happen to draw some color palettes for Aya as well, and each of the color palettes, of course, reference different characters from her game, as well as different other, and I guess maybe one of the enemies was referenced in her ults. I don't remember. Okay, here we go. These are all the palettes that I made for Aya all that time ago, and I think these came out really, really good. So especially when it came to just drawing the recolor. Honestly, drawing Aya was easy. It was coming up with the recolors that was kind of a difficult task. But at some point I thought about it, and it was actually very easy. So of course we have the default on the top left, followed by a light blue dress with red pendant, a reference to Aya's mother, Monica. Yes, her mom's name is canonically Monica. I don't know why that is. Then the next one is one with more auburn looking hair, a pink bow, and green on the dress, and a green apron on the dress in reference to the maid Maria. Then we have a red one with more, well, I guess it's sort of like red maroonish color with a very light pink bow in reference to the bad ending version of Aya. Then we have one with gray and white in reference to her father, Alfred Drevis, followed by a blonde one, which is a reference to the blonde youth, otherwise known as Robin. Then there's one with purple skin that's a reference to the original look for the enemies in Mad Father when they were just zombified corpses until the remake decided to switch them up into dolls for some reason. And the light blue one with the white dress is simply a reference to Aya when she was younger. I believe when she was 6 years old, I think. It was actually a very fun alt to make, and I think it's one of my favorites out of all of them. But let me know what you think. I really want to know what you guys' thoughts are about this one. Viola. And here we have the second RPG Maker horror game character in this row. Yes, I'm gonna be talking about three of them in a row, which yeah is very funny. But I really do like all the characters here because I was very in depth with their movesets, and even though I I kind of did play Witch's House a little bit, but I didn't really play it all the way. However, I do know enough about it to actually make a moveset for Viola here. So, who is Viola? Well, she's the main character of Witch's House, another big indie horror RPG Maker game in the same vein as Mad Father and later down the road Ebe. And, and of course Witch's House came out at the around the same time, time as the other two, so it grew pretty popular. I'm pretty sure both PewDiePie and Markiplier have played these games on their channels before, and from what I've seen, I was actually able to make a pretty decent moveset for Viola, even though my knowledge on Witch's House is basically zero at this point. So when I actually had to look up a moveset for Viola, it was very easy to come up with a few things. For one, I had to look at some of the obvious items that you can get throughout the game, and even some of the special events that happen during the game as well. But I don't know. I think this is the one moveset that I don't remember as much as the others because although I do remember that her final smash had to do something with that one accursed half a body that's rolling around the house. I think at least I'm pretty certain that was it. Because the story of Witch's House sort of revolves around two girls, Viola, the one you see on screen now, and another girl named Ellen, who had a girl with purple hair and a red dress. Basically the weird creature that's chasing you around the entire house that you have to avoid or else you're gonna be dead. I even had this one idea her forward smash would be her ducking from a toy soldier that was about to shoot her, but of course the cork bullet instead hits the opponent rather than Viola. Yep. Okay, so I know I'm probably jumping from one section to another because that's just how I am. My head's kind of jumpy here and there. And but going back to Ellen, Ellen was basically the main antagonist of the game. At least I'm pretty sure she was. And I even had some ideas where Viola could use a rope, a stuffed frog, a teddy bear, even a yarn ball for some of the attacks. I don't quite remember what ideas I've had for any of her moves, but I know very well that it was all based around Witch's House, and the final smash would be some form of jump scare from Ellen, because unless that is Ellen that we're talking about, but I'd rather not spoil the entire game, even though it's Wait, when did Witch's House come out again? Okay, so Witch's House came out October 3rd, 2012. Okay, so instead of spoiling a 14-year-old game, I think it's best for you guys to just go and play Witch's House yourself. So you guys can kind of see the idea that I was going for with her moveset. At least if I remember what her moveset was supposed to be. The game even got a port to Nintendo Switch in October 31st, 2018, just like Mad Father did, which I think is very sweet. I'm really glad that they keep bringing back these games for Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. I really want to see more of these get on Switch. Like we got Mad Father, we got Witch's House, we got Ebe. Please let us get Misao next. I really want to see Misao in glorious 120 frames per second. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Oh, and oh yeah, and speaking of Ebe. Okay, so this is yet another character that that I myself was genuinely excited for because I actually was able to make a moveset for Eve that really does work with her. I even had this whole aesthetic plan that the more damage she takes, the more wilted the rose that she holds will look. And I really do like the idea of having it there. I even had this whole idea that's kind of similar to Aya, to which instead of her grabbing opponents, her friend Gary would actually grab opponents. If you don't know who Gary is, he's essentially just another major character in the plot of Eve, which I have actually played Eve, by the way. I played it on my channel. You can go and check that out, like right now. I promise you, it's really good. But having to come up with a move set for her was actually super fun because I actually got to design a lot of the moves, obviously. But not only that, I actually able to make this a very easy moveset to do because I actually played Eve originally. So having to make a moveset for her was very fun. And I had all these ideas where some of the attacks could be based on the random painting enemies that come out to attack you, but just end up missing Eve and instead hit the opponent. I even had this idea where the lady in red would be like her side special or something, or maybe the neutral special could involve one of those creepy dolls, or even the up special could be that well, I was thinking the up special could be the vase, but I don't know because a vase would basically be your save point, and it's also how you restore health in Eve. So I thought, could it be a health restoring down special that you have to wait a cooldown for, or could it be a teleporting up special that you can go to at any point like Aya? Ultimately, I sort of decided on making it a down special that heals you for a little bit, and then goes away immediately. To which you have to wait a few seconds before you have to use it. And I think that'd be a very interesting thing, because having to do something like that is interesting to say the least. at, at least when it comes to the possibility of E being in Smash, I really like the idea. I really like the idea of having a character like this leave some sort of leave some sort of theme around her moveset. And I've come up with a lot of ideas, but Eve is probably one of the more interesting characters because, well, she's another character who doesn't actively fight in her game. Instead, she just solves puzzles and tries to escape a cursed art gallery so that she can enjoy the art in peace. And, you know, since we also recently got her game ported to Switch, I'll be able to probably remember my moveset for her again. I don't know, maybe I'll go ahead and get it at some point. But aside from that, I was also able to create some really interesting palette swaps for Eve if she were in Smash Brothers. And I think I've outdone myself with these ones because they're genuinely some of my favorites. So these are all the palettes that I created for Eve if she were a character in Super Smash Brothers. Obviously, you have the default being herself. We have the blue rose and yellow rose being Gary and Mary, and the blue skin with the pink rose being a reference to the doll enemy that appears during that game. Then I had to get very creative. Of course, the fifth alt is a reference to her father. The sixth is a reference to her mom. The seventh is a reference to the lady in red, and the eighth one, honestly, I don't really know what the eighth one is a reference to. I know it's a reference to something, but I just can't really remember. If any of you know what it was supposed to be, then please do let me know in the comments below. But other than that, I really do hope you guys enjoy all these palettes that I'm making for some of these characters because, my god, these are very hard to work on. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about these alts I made for Eve, and I'll be sure to get back to you with my own thoughts on as well. If I were to streamline Eve's moveset a bit more, I probably would have done something a little bit different. Maybe include the paintings in the art gallery for the neutral special instead, or maybe have the up special put one painting on somewhere on the stage, and then if you're off stage, you place the other painting right there, grab the hook, and it'll pull you up through the painting and where the other painting was. So it's kind of like a semi-teleport, but not really a teleport. it's also supposed to be a reference to that one puzzle where you have to have a fishing rod in one room where Eve and Mary are. Then they send, or I guess I think where Gary is, and then he sends the umbrella up from the hook upwards to the other room where the fisherman has it. I think that'd be a pretty interesting puzzle to say the least. It was an interesting puzzle in the game because I actually played it, and making it into an up special would be actually pretty fun. So, on to the next character, Frank West. He's covered wars and zombie apocalypse all the same. Frank West, the man that everyone probably wouldn't mind seeing in Smash Brothers, even though he was already in a fighting game, Marvel vs. Capcom, and I think one other. I'm pretty sure it was like Project X something. I don't remember. But Frank West would be a rather interesting character to say the least to have for Super Smash Bros. Because he doesn't really fight with just his fists or just, well, actually he does fight with, random junk that he finds around the mall, but he also fights with his trusty camera, a camera that has a super high-powered flash, which if you really think about it, I suppose he would work similarly to that one assist trophy in Smash Ultimate. But aside from that, I think he would make a pretty excellent fighter. He's a very scrappy kind of guy, so he would pull together anything he could find and use it to his advantage. And I was also thinking that his neutral special could, of course, be the camera, but I'm thinking the camera could be saved for some of his regular attacks, while he uses other weapons for his other regular attacks, weapons that he crafts in his home game. You got your baseballs, your baseball bats, your flamethrowers, your uh, double-ended sides, a friggin' chainsaw on a stick. I don't really know. I haven't really played Dead Rising at all because, well, it is a good game. Don't get me wrong. I think I've watched my dad play it a couple times when I was younger, but I do remember that Frank would have quite an interesting moveset here and there, and of course the camera would be also a part of his taunts, some of his regular moves, and maybe a down special. I'm not really sure. As for the final smash, I think the final smash could possibly be something that he's crafted himself. Maybe that one time where he made a giant mech suit out of soda machines. I don't really know how he was able to do that. But considering it was a zombie apocalypse, I guess you're just able to do anything if you put your mind to it. And I kind of like how in his home game, the zombies mostly just ignored him and didn't even pay him any mind. It was honestly kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. Uh, but I, but I also had the idea that when he footstools someone, he can actually like balance on their head for a bit before jumping off. To add some insult to injury. Probably wouldn't really help in recovering, but it'd be funny to say the least. At least, so that's all the info that I remember having on Frank, especially for making a moveset based around his games. But if I were to make a moveset for him, I probably would have to redesign it from the ground up so I can remember what I did for him initially. It, anyways, moving on to the next character down the line, we have Rouge. Okay, Rouge was honestly kind of an obvious pick for a roster like this, namely because a lot of people have probably been requesting for her as another female fighter, and I can kind of see why. But mostly because she actually does have a profession that makes her suitable as a fighter. She's a government spy that was hired by Gun to observe Eggman's plans and try to find out what the Ultimate Lifeform project was. At least that was her initial thing in Sonic Adventure 2, when she was first introduced. Then in later games, she'd become more of a lax kind of treasure hunting spy that tends to have a very funny rivalry with Knuckles, and she also likes to have fun with her comrades Shadow and Omega, even though she means no harm from her taunting that she does during before every single race. And when I say race, I mean Sonic Cross Worlds. The one new racing game that came out. It's not like there are any other racing games that came out during this year or last year. Sorry. Anyways, when it came to making your moveset for Rouge, it was actually very fun to say the least. I was actually able to go into other obscure games like Sonic Battle for some of her moves. Of course, I had to include her famous drill kick, some of the love mines that she uses, and yes, I call them love mines because they're explosive mines that are shaped like hearts, because it's funny. I even had this idea where she could use that one power that she never really uses ever in the series. I think it's basically some sort of like bad screech or whatever that she does have. She is able to do it, but I guess it's because her vocal cords are supposed to be weaker than the other members of her family, so she tends not to use any sort of bad sonar thing, and instead just uses her ears and eyes to track everything else. On top of that, Rouge is also an expert martial artist, so having her as a character just made the most sense. I guess in a way, I suppose. And of course, I do believe that her up special could probably involve bombs in some way, where she would get a bomb boost upwards. And I know that she is able to glide, but gliding isn't really in Smash Ultimate unless you count Steve. So yeah, that's because it's also because Meta Knight ruined it for everybody. So going into Rouge's characteristics, I'd say she'd probably be a middleweight, middle speed character with pretty good mobility, two jumps, or I should actually say four jumps because thanks to her wings, and has no other movement options aside from maybe a wall jump here and there, if she really feels like it. And then there's the idea for her other attacks, like her up air could of course be a bicycle kick, her down air could be her drill kick, her side smash could possibly be a couple more hard kicks, and I think that for her grabs, one of her grabs has to be some sort of like what goes up must come down sort of move, where she picks the opponent up then slams him down to the ground. Similarly to how Charizard does it, but to a lesser extreme. Not really seismic tossing anybody, but hey, whatever works. And I did have this idea where she could use her what was it? I'm trying to think of what it was. Like I had this one idea that her final smash could involve her car in some way, but I thought that'd be a bit too much of a cop out. So instead, her final smash would actually be more of a flashbang move. Essentially there's this one skill that she had in Sonic Battle where she could actually cause a bright light to happen and stun enemies for a small amount of time, or I guess put them in hit stun of some sort. I don't really know, but she is able to do this. We just never really see it in any of the other games for some reason. I don't know why we don't see it. Sega, where is this power and why does she never use it? anyways about her alternate colors, I did actually end up making a few of them, and I'm actually really proud with how they came out. They came out pretty well. These are the palettes that I had thought up for Rouge as a character if she were in Smash Brothers, and yes, a couple of them are probably some obvious references here and there. We of course got the defaults, then we got one based on her Dominatrix ult from Sonic Adventure 2. Then we have one based on her outfit from Sonic Riders. Then there's even a blue one that references the Blue Bear himself, Sonic, and there's even one here that references her alternate attire, that she wears when she is in Sonic Prime. The new show that happened on Netflix and other channels. And of course, I had to include an alt at the last one in reference to her human partner in crime, Topaz, or I guess I should say human cop buddy Topaz from Sonic X. And I think these alts came out really good. I especially like the one with the red eyes. It just sort of works. Oh, and if you guys didn't really notice, besides her default, each of the eyes in her alternate costumes references one of the Chaos Emeralds: red, blue, yellow, green, purple, white, and cyan. Aside from that, what do you guys think about these alts? Please do let me know in the comments below. I really hope you guys like it. And also, one more thing about the Topaz alt, which is the last one, by the way. The cyan eyes actually do kind of work doubly here, because Topaz's eyes in the anime. Because in Sonic X anime, Topaz's eyes are also canonically blue. So I guess the Topaz ult kind of works out pretty well. I mean, sure, Rouge's eyes in this ult are cyan, referencing the cyan Chaos Emerald rather than blue. but Topaz's eyes are a similar sort of shade of cyan, like but also kind of purplish. So I guess it kind of still works in a way. But, but anyways, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about these alts I made for Rouge. I worked very hard on them. I really hope you guys liked them. And with that, we're moving on to the next character. Izuku Midoriya. Okay, this is officially the weirdest roster ever. Izuku Midoriya is probably one of the odder characters that you've had in this roster, but he also had his own video games at one point, so I'm not really going to complain. So anyways, coming up with a moveset for Izuku was actually pretty fun because I happen to have watched a few clips from the My Hero Academia anime, but I have played the fighting game that they actually had before. And yes, MHA did have a fighting game or two, or I think it was just two of them. I don't remember, but I know very well that Deku here is a very capable fighter, and I had this whole idea planned out where he would, well, theoretically use the power of One for All for his moveset. It's not like anything he could use anything else in his moveset, I suppose. But utilizing his speed and power is probably one of the more fun aspects of making this moveset. I'd picture him as a sort of middleweight character, but also a sort of a glass cannon. So he's not actually lightweight. It's just his properties that make him a bit easier to launch than a few other characters. He would of course have two jumps, a wall jump, and no other movement options. And as for his basic attacks, of course, he would use some of his famous kicks and punches, but he would also focus some of his actual attacks, or I guess I should say his one for all attacks into some projectiles, like of course his full cowling, the full cowling. I believe it was Delaware Smash Full Cowling is essentially a way he can launch his attacks from a distance without having to get up close. And of course, his other attacks are close quarters combat attacks. So it makes more sense to do it like that. His up special, I don't really know what his up special could be, but I'm thinking I had an idea that where he can use that weird black sticky stuff that they can expend from his hands and apparently his mouth for some reason, copying his fellow hero Suyu. And, at least I'm pretty sure it was Suyu, the frog girl. Well, aside from that, I think it could be used as not just a tether recovery, but also a grab in some way, or at least in one case or another. Thinking about it like this kind of makes me wonder on how Izuku would work as a Smash fighter, and it's a very interesting thing to say the least. I do actually have this one idea where he could probably use that one part of his quirk where he allows him to hover for a little bit, so he could have a double jump and a hover as well. No, and of course, his final smash would be the Go Beyond Plus Ultra punch that he does. I'm pretty sure it's just called going beyond or plus ultra. His plus ultra is his final smash. It just makes a lot more sense that way. And when you put it all together in one moveset, it really does work. I'm honestly surprised that we don't have another anime Smash Bros. Fighter like Shonen Jump, because I'm pretty sure that's the only way you'd actually be able to see what a Smash Bros. Deku would be like. If you had to limit them to a certain amount of jumps, 4 special attacks, 8 and a few 3 tilts, 3 smash attacks, and 5 aerials. Although I also did have this idea where he would also have a faux air similar to Mario's, where he just does a hook punch that sends downwards. It's essentially like he's taking inspiration from other very well known heroes in the Smash Bros. Universe. And seriously, most of this guy's moveset is just named after the United States, followed by the word Smash. I think he would work perfectly as a Smash fighter, even if in context it would be kind of a joke. But in all seriousness, I did like making this move set, and hell, I even made some pretty good palettes for him when I was doing all the work for all the character art palettes, and here they are. These are all the palettes that I made for Deku if he were in Smash, and obviously they do reference other characters, which yeah should be a given. It's gonna be an actual thing at this point. But honestly, I really liked making all these alts. These are all really fun. It was actually my first time drawing Deku as a whole, and this is actually kind of my first time using actual proper shading, shading in different colors for like the skin, like the hair, like the hair part covering the skin and leaving the shadow there. I know it's not that great, but it's as good as I can get it. So of course, the first one is his default. The next one is a reference to All Might. After which is reference to his bully Bakugo. Then reference to Todoroki, followed by Shigaraki, then Uraraka, then Tsuyu, and the last one I believe is a reference to Tenya Ida. And if you were wondering, no, I did not make a Mineta alt. Nobody here likes Mineta. He's a little creep. But aside from that, I do really like all these palettes, and I worked very hard on them. And again, this is my first time drawing Deku, so let me know what you guys think in the comments. I really want to hear your thoughts about these. Spooky. Okay, so we're back in the video game realm again, and we finally decided to do another horror character. This time, Spooky from Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion, or essentially renamed Jumpscare Mansion, as it used to be called House of Jumpscares. Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion is a horror game where you just try to go around 1,000 rooms in a derelict mansion. Simple, right? Except for the fact that you have a lot of specific things called specimens chasing you, and these specimens range from a goopy monster to whatever the hell Parasite is supposed to be. Looking back on it now, I do think I really did a good job with Spooky's moveset. Of course, she is a ghost, so what's good for Sachiko is what's good for Spooky is good for Sachiko, or I should say the other way around. What's good for Sachiko is good for Spooky, and it just makes sense. So the same as Sachiko, if whenever Spooky crouches, quote unquote, she would actually phase into the ground, because she's a ghost and all. If you couldn't tell from the ghostly tail below her. She would also have 2 jumps, be able to float, and no other movement options. And I do believe some of her basic attacks could involve her iconic knife, which honestly it looks less of a knife and more like a mini machete, but okay. And of course some of her smash and special attacks would have to include all of the specimens that you encounter in a game, from Subject 5 to Goop to I don't know, Food Demon. I don't know. I guess Food Demon would be pretty funny to have in an attack in some way. And I honestly haven't seen any good Spooky movesets at all, because, well, I guess not a lot of people thought she would actually be in Smash Brothers. But I thought she would be a good character for Smash Brothers and would be the actual first horror character in Smash Brothers. So here we are. Having Spooky summon all the other specimens to attack you during her special is just, it actually works very well. I kind of want to see something like that happen. And of course, the final smash would have to do something with one of the specimens, but which one? I'd probably say that specimen 9 would get the job done, but I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of specimens in that game, including some of them from the unknown specimens in the endless modes, and well, there's quite a lot of possibilities. I haven't drawn any color palettes for Spooky yet, but I am planning on it in the future. And as for all of her other attacks and aesthetics, I do believe that one of her victory animations should be just some sort of cute jump scare that she does. It would actually work very well for her character. And when I actually think about it, I do really enjoy crafting all these movesets. Like, seriously, if you guys want to see me go over each individual moveset at some point, do let me know in the comments. I really would love to hear your opinions. Oh, and also, since I didn't create any color palettes for Spooky, let me know what color palettes you would make for her. Because trust me, leaving comments on videos is really good for interacting with everybody, and I really want to hear all your thoughts on it. But now we move on to the next character, which is Pawsey and Negi. Okay, so this is the second time I did a moveset for OC characters. These ones are aptly named Pawsey and Well, I'm just gonna call the other one Negi because I don't want to say his actual name because it would sound like I'm actually saying something a little bit different. So, anyways, making a moveset for these two was pretty fun because, well, aside from aside from that, they're actually very from a very obscure. I wouldn't really say obscure. It's actually pretty well known, but also not well known at the same time. How would I describe something like that? It's very hard to find a word for. I've had this whole idea where these two would also be, of course, be a duo character where you can switch between them, and it was actually a very fun idea to say the least. I also had this whole idea of also from their games because well, thinking about it, I did want to say that Kazu could probably use some of his ice attacks, while Negi would use fire attacks, sort of giving them sort of a fire and ice. They even had this whole idea for the side special where Negi would cast one of their spells. I believe it was called, I think it was called Volcanic Rush. I don't know. Essentially, the fan game that these two were from is very impactful on my life, and I was very happy to have played it in some way, shape, or form. At least I don't. At least I think I did. I don't know. I could be thinking about something else. But aside, but aside from that, and aside from my memory being super hazy, I do remember making the moveset for these two fan made characters, and I believe that the game that from is something that has to do with Jacksepticeye. I don't quite remember, but what I do remember is making some really good palettes for these two. I don't really know what else to say. The palette that came out for these two was I had to actually work on each one separately because well, it's two characters. Kind of similar to how I did Toe and Earl, but also kind of different at the same time. These are the palettes that I had for all of them for all 8 slots, and I think I did a pretty good job at making some of these. One of these, of course, being kind of an alternate costume, but also kind of not. It's very weird to say the least. And of course, all are made from specific pairings that come from the game that they are, of course, from. And I think my favorite has to be the one where they just swap palettes, given Negi Pawzi's colors and Pawzi Negi's colors, which I believe is the second to last alt. But aside from that, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really want to know what you guys think about it. I hope you guys enjoyed my explanation of these characters. And now, it's time to move on to the next one, to which might surprise all of you. You Sugar Dust. Yep, I'm serious. I made a moveset for this character. And just for any of you wondering, this is the only outfit that I can find that she wore in her games that is appropriate to show. So if you don't know what game she's from, then good. You're a pure innocent soul. You don't have to worry about where she's from. But I will tell you that it is a puzzle game that she comes from. And it's a very specific puzzle game. I'd rather not get into all the details about it, but what I do want to talk about is her moveset. Because the moveset I actually had an idea for was, since every character in Smash Bros. Is crafted into some sort of theme, I decided that the theme for her for Q's moveset, would be, the aspect of her puzzle game, which is basically similar to Candy Crush, but different, because it uses slightly different tokens. And I think that's what they're called, tokens. And these tokens have different effects. We have of course the pink hearts, which are affection, red, which is I'm just gonna call it passion for the sake of the video because I don't want to get in trouble. Then we have blue for talent, cyan for sentiment. Then we have, I believe, yellow. I don't know what yellow was, or was it orange? It was either yellow or orange. I don't remember. Oh no, I remember. It was yellow. Yellow bells gave you an extra turn, I believe. And I even had this whole gimmick lined up where you can actually combine her side tilt to her jab. So basically, the side tilt leads to the jab, and if all the tokens happen to match up, it will do extra damage. It's actually a very fun gimmick, to say the least, and I was very happy with the way it came out because it was just super fun to make. I even had this idea where she would use some of the date gifts that gives her game, and those date gifts that you can use being the three different plushies. I'm pretty sure it was a teddy bear plush, an elephant plush, and a plush of herself. And she would also have this little passion meter not sure passion, but affection meter on the bottom of the screen next to her damage percentage. And it can go all the way up to level 16. And if you have a maximum level, that basically means your attacks will do more damage. The only way you lose affection is if you take damage or if you lose a stock, and losing a stock would make your level go down by half. So you'd have to work your way back up again. And the way that her moveset works is very interesting because all of her attacks are kind of disjoints, but not really. They're like semi-disjoints if I had to describe them. Because the way that you would use them is always the distance. At least that's what I think. Because and of course her up special would have to utilize her wings so she can, fly. And I would obviously want to use as many references as possible to her games. Of course, I had to make her, less vulgar than she is in her actual games. And as for the color palettes, well, if Q somehow magically got into Smash, her default outfit would not be okay. Smash Bros. Is a game for good boys and good girls. And the game Q is from, well, for those of you who do know, is not for good boys and good girls. Is for adults. But somehow, some miracle way, I was able to make a moveset for Q that somehow works and keeps everything family friendly. Not just child friendly, but like family friendly. And I think I knocked it out of the park when I made all the alternate outfits. If I can even find them here. Here we go. So these are all the palettes that I made for Q Sugar Dust, and I think I did pretty well with all the references as possible. Since Smash only allows you to have 8 costumes, I had to pick 8 of the girls to reference. And I know I could have probably referenced the goddesses that appear in the second game, but I don't know. I feel like that'd be a bit too Richie, I thought you said that you weren't going to do non-video game characters until every eighth blog. Or well, every eighth segment, I suppose, in this case. And you are right. But as I was doing my research, the new kid here only ever appears in the South Park games. They never appear in the show. Ever. I've heard every single episode of South Park, and not once has the new kid, or I guess Doma Key has never showed up. So he doesn't really break the rule of my self-imposed rules of no non-video game characters until every 8 blocks. So new kids can perfectly clean as they only appear in 3 games: The Stick of Truth, The Fractured But Whole, and the mobile game Bone Destroyer. Yes, they do technically appear in Bone Destroyer. It technically counts as the 3rd game for the South Park series. And I do know that there is another one coming out at some point where it's fully 3D and stuff. But let's face it, 3D South Park games are pretty awkward looking to say the least. It's best to just keep it in the original 2D and never change it. So when it comes to the new kids moveset, I actually had quite a bit to work with, considering that I've actually played both the games that the new kids started, both the main games that the new kids started in, as well as the side game Bone Destroyer, and I have a lot of legends to go on. First and foremost, I would of course have the some of the basic attacks that you can use in South Park, and the main character. But I think in the second game, the basic attacks of the which is probably one of the big ones, would actually work a bit better. I had this whole idea thought out where they would have different powers and abilities from across all the games, except for where they use. Well, actually, there is one attack from Bone Destroyer that I had an idea for. The down special would actually let them summon lava bricks, which they can do in Bone Destroyer because, well, it happens to be one of the spell cards they can use, and being able to utilize different moves even from the side game is interesting. It's kind of like the same case for Ben. They have one idle animation and that's it. That's all they get from that game. Everything else is going to the other games that they're trying to love. And when I see the new kids moveset, I have to make their Final Smash something safe. Because, well, I can't really give them a flatulence Final Smash like I did for Shrek. Because when it comes to Shrek, it's in the comedy that's actually funny. In the case for New Kid, I don't know if it will work. Yeah, I know Wario does basically the same thing, but he's an adult man. The new kid is the new kid. So having to do a moveset for them kind of works. And you're probably wondering why I'm saying them all the time. It's because New Kid is, you guessed it, another avatar character that you can fully customize in their own game. I have a lot of these on this roster. I am actually just realizing now that I have a lot of avatar characters on this roster, and I don't know why. But of course, the New Kid would be able to utilize other weapons, well, specifically a sword, because, well, you actually can get a katana in Stick of Truth, at least I'm fairly certain you are. And some of the specials would also utilize the New Kid's powers that they have during the Fractured But Whole. You know, Playmancer, Brutalist, Speedster, Psychic, you know, all those kinds of funny moves and attacks. All just combined into one moveset for the sake of having a very streamlined moveset. So I think the final Smash could actually be the ultimate attack that they do at the beginning of Fractured But Whole, where he uses the giant hammer to defeat a big cardboard dragon that's being towed around by a little red wagon. I don't know. Aside from that, I think the big hammer would make sense for a final Smash. It'd be quick, simple, and a very big hit. It just kind of works that way. And I do remember giving New Kid quite a few interesting character molds because I actually ended up working on them, and they were actually pretty fun to make. Especially when you look at them now, because I can actually go back and forth between male and female. And yes, I know one of the alts does have a bit of a mistake in it, but I will correct that sometime in the future. Anyway, of course, they would go back between male and female, and the male also would have the ones that are shown as default male in the fractured but whole, but the female also has the ones that are shown as default female. And of course, the last two would be the male and female in pajamas, and yes, there are different skin tones as well, similarly to how I believe the villager was in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where they have varying skin tones. Aside from that, I really enjoyed making the moveset. It was very fun, very creative, and I really do like how it came out. And the ults referencing all the fractured but whole classes, as well as the pajamas, and how they look like it's a king/queen. And if you're wondering, yes, the crown looks like that because it's actually on purpose. I was a bit too lazy to draw the crown myself. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really want to know what your thoughts are. I hope you guys like this one. So anyways, I believe we have one more character to discuss. So here's the last character of the row, and yet it's really funny and poetic that we start off with an indie horror RPG Maker character, and we're ending off on an RPG Maker horror character from who is actually another main protagonist. This character's name is Aki, canonically, but you can technically name them anything you want during the game. At least I'm pretty certain you can. And Aki, and the way that they are, because okay, well, it's actually hard to explain, but making a moveset for her was actually pretty fun because she was actually a lot more daring and a lot more adventurous than the other three that we started with in this video. And making the moveset for her was actually pretty fun considering that I've actually played Misa, as well as Misa's 2024 remake. Oh yeah, some of you probably didn't even know that it had a remake in 2024. For some reason, nobody was talking about it. I don't know why, but I'm actually really glad that I have the remake on Steam, because then I was able to play it and get some more inspiration for what her moveset could be, and it honestly did not change whatsoever. I do like the same moveset it pretty much is the same moveset that I made all those years ago. For one, Aki could of course use a baseball bat for their basic attacks, and then some of the aerials would be kind of innovated, as well as the grab and throws. But overall, I really do like how this character turned out when it came to their moveset. I didn't really make any alts for them yet, but I am planning to. And yes, you're wondering if I'm saying them, they're an Avatar character, because Aki technically has a female and a male counterpart. Okay, well, technically the female is named Aki, the male is called Akito, but they're both really still just the same person overall. And whichever one you don't pick at the beginning of the game is the one that will show up later on in the game at some point. It's in a secret hidden room that I can't really tell you anything about because it's supposed to be secret and hidden. It's not fun to do itself. But overall, I also had the idea of having some items for their specials, of course. But I think one of their specials would involve Misao in some way. Aside from their final smash, which completely involves Misao completely. And having Misao as a Misao character in Smash is very intriguing and very challenging, because you wouldn't really understand what their moveset would be until you actually play the game and find out, oh yeah, all this stuff happened. I mean, heck, technically Misao is technically the sister game, but also kind of sequel to Mad Father. It just technically takes place afterward. But apparently the developer said that they're supposed to be separate games and have nothing to do with each other. Like, come on, we all know that this library is the carbuncle clone of Aya. Her eyes are even blue, and she has black hair, blue eyes, and literally says you cannot call her Aya because only her father can call her that. Seriously, am I the only one who actually sees this theory? But crazy theories aside, I do like having Aki and Akito technically on my Smash roster, mainly because it gives me another male-female character to do, and actually be able to create some pretty interesting alts for them as well. I can imagine some of their alternate colors would have Aki be the females and Akito be the males, where we can have references to, of course, Misao, Toma, and quite a few of the other characters as well. I really do like how the moveset came out, even though it have to heavily utilize the bats. Also, I had this one aesthetic difference between the two, whereas the female Aki would actually not hesitate to use the bats, Akito would actually be a bit more cowardly in mannerisms, but it's just an aesthetic change. It doesn't change anything about the actual moves. So, with that out of the way, that is all the characters in the 6th row of my Smash Bros. Roster. Honestly, it was very fun making this video, and I think this is probably my favorite video of the series, being part 6 and all. And yes, we're almost done. Up next is going to be the last row plus the last 3 characters on the bottom, just to be safe, so I don't have to make an 8th episode super short, because I can explain the bottom 3 very easily. But now I think that's going to be it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment what you think, share the video with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.